Hello everyone, Ale here and Jaden
Yellow?
for another episode of our travel podcast for solo backpackers. This time around, we'll present 10 top packing tips that we have for you. Now, it's gonna be funny because Jaden and I actually have somewhat different approaches when it comes to packing and what to carry with you, so we shall see the differences. But with respect to me, I actually traveled the world with a 35-liter backpack. Now, for reference, the typical backpacking backpack that you see carried around by people who are traveling is usually between 50 and 75 liters. So mine was substantially smaller, and that is a good leeway into the first of my 5 tips, which is being minimalistic wins. First of all, the peace of mind that comes with it, with having less things to carry, is just so nice. Now, I'm obviously back to a normal life and I like being able to wear a suit every now and again or changing pair of shoes and all of that for sure. But when you're traveling, you'll find out that you don't need so much, and the more you carry, the more you need to carry on you. And also the other angle to it is, of course, is if you carry something that can be stolen, if it's valuable, you're gonna miss it or you'll have to replace it. So just keep that in mind. Tip number 2 is basically please use a backpack and not a suitcase. I mean, I've found, or I didn't expect to see that, but there's people who travel with a suitcase, and I'm not talking a resort type of holiday, in which case of course a suitcase makes sense, or if you're traveling with kids to specific destinations. But if you're a backpacker, it's got to be, I mean, it's in the world even, so it's got to be a backpack. And the wheels can break of a suitcase, it's more chubby, painful, it's just not a thing. So it's got to be a backpack, please. Tip number 3, when it comes to the toiletries that you're gonna bring with you, to the extent that you can, they should be in transparent containers for less than 100 millimeters. This might be a little bit more difficult for the ladies who carry conditioners or a bunch of different items, but to be honest, that was a problem for me too with the growing long hair, and it's just beneficial because ideally your backpack will gonna come with you, carry on the planes, and so you don't have to put it in the belly of the plane, so longer queues, risk of being lost, and then at the end you'll have to carry pick it up again instead of having it with you from the get-go. So this is tip number 3, and actually on the transparent angle of it, you can apply it also to the passport, because sometimes the customs agents want to take your passport. Some of them remove the cover, but they definitely remove it if it's not transparent. So it's important to have it like that. Tip number 4, I found it useful a couple of times. Bring with you a stash of US dollars, the most used currency around the world. I would say about 150 US dollars is useful. This can be useful, let's say, when you land in a new country and maybe your card doesn't work somewhere when you're trying to withdraw cash, or simply there's no ATM around, and like everywhere they accept US dollars. So it's always useful to have it. You put it in a secret pocket in your backpack and you're good. You're probably not gonna use it, but if you need it, you'll be happy that you have it with you. Tip number 5 and final for me is basically subscribe to a VPN service. And this is because sometimes when you reach certain countries, some websites that you might need, for example, airlines, or you just want to stream something on your TV or phone, it's just gonna make it much easier to use. I haven't personally found what you hear sometimes online, that through using the VPN and accessing the website in another country, for example, again for flights, you might find a cheaper flight. This I've not experienced, honestly. I didn't do too many comparisons, but for the other minor services, very useful. Now, Jaden, your turn with your different 5 approaches.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the US money that you bring. I highly recommend doing that. I've actually, I bring exactly 100 US every time I go out on a long trip, and I've run into a couple of situations where I did end up using not all of it, but at least half of it. So when you have it there, it's just like a huge relief, like sigh of relief when you have the money that you need to get through the day and not be stuck somewhere. So that's quite nice, good tip. So I'm a different backpacker than Alex. I have 65 liters, and I got my main bag that is 55 liters, and then there's a day bag that zips onto the bag, which is another 10 liters, which is quite nice to have a day bed that you can just unzip and then take some stuff out. And if you're going out for the day, fill up water bottle or bug spray or sunscreen, and then you can go on a quick hike and then come back and it's all good. Or if you're going on some scooters or a motorcycle, yeah, it's very convenient to have a zip off day bag. Speaking of bags, actually, a quick tip that I very much enjoy about my bag, and my partner doesn't so much like her bag because of it, is my bag opens from the side, so you can unzip the entirety of the bag and open up. So then I'm just like, I can see everything in my bag, which is quite nice. And her bag is more of like a top loader, so you have to kind of pack the things that you don't need towards the bottom of your bag, and then the things that you use towards the top, which is, you know, it can be done, but also when you do that, you really gotta think about how you're gonna pack it, because generally when you have a backpack, you want to pack the heavy things closest to the bottom and towards your waist, I guess, or to your torso, just for stability, so you're not like tipping over and falling over all over the place. So yeah, as a pro tip, is have a side zip bag if you can, and also a day bag. That's quite nice. So as Alex and I did have different size bags that generally comes with more stuff. So the more air you have, the more you're gonna fill. It's like closets back home. If you have the closets, you're gonna fill it with clothes. So I do have a lot more stuff than Alex, and I'm just gonna go through some of the things that I think is essential in my bag. And for number one, earplugs and a sleeping mask is a must. When you're traveling through hostels, you get waken up all the time by people coming in and out of the rooms. They're partying, or they're just coming in late, where they're hanging out with friends, having late dinners. And a lot of the times you have the lights come on, so the sleeping mask is quite nice, especially in the mornings. Sunrise is generally pretty early, so I don't like waking up before 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. So having a sleeping mask on, you can sleep a little bit longer. Earplugs, just to drown out the noise. I'd highly recommend it. You'll get a lot more sleep and you'll be happier with yourself about that. Number two is a travel adapter. So pretty common, almost everyone brings it, but I gotta put it on the list because you're traveling countries, every country has a different type of outlet. I'd recommend grabbing one that has multiple USB ports if you have a lot of electronics like I do, because then you can charge multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
Number three, packing cubes. So the first time I went backpacking through Asia, I did not bring packing cubes, and I neatly rolled all my my clothes and then jammed them into my bag, and that worked for about a week, and it went to shit, like absolute shit. So yeah, so once you pick up the bag, the clothes start falling over on top of each other, and then they kind of get mixed up. Then you have like some dirty laundry that generally you want to keep somewhere separate in some sort of bag, and then, you know, it just starts rattling around and shifting and moving and then unfolding itself. So if it's not like a tight fit where the bag is very full and you're rolling things up, then it's gonna come undone. It's gonna get very messy very quickly. So packing cubes avoids all of this.
I'm just gonna say, because some people might not be as familiar as we are, packing cubes are basically small bags where you fit in certain amounts of clothes, and that allows not just to compartmentalize the different items that you have in the bag within smaller sections that are easier to access. So you're gonna have one maybe for your underwear and another one for t-shirts, and so you always recognize one because it has a different color. So if you're looking for t-shirts, you don't need to scramble, you just open that one and take something out. But also if you're running out of space, they have basically a compressing zip that allows to, again, compress all the items so you gain some space. Sorry, Jaden, back to you for the final item, I think.
No, thank you very much. So that was number three. Number four is a microfiber towel. That is such an essential. So a microfiber towel folds up very, very small, and it dries extremely quickly. So if you're taking a shower and then you hang it up for if you hang it up in the sun, maybe 30 minutes, like 45 minutes. If it's direct sunlight, it will dry stupidly fast. And that's very important because if you're traveling places, like I'm a morning shower person, especially when it's hot, like I probably take like 2 or 3 showers a day. And if you're gonna move from one place to another, the worst thing you can possibly do is throw wet clothes into your bag. Like that's gonna stink so bad. I've done it because, you know, I've rushed and I didn't have enough time to dry a towel or whatever, or it's dark out or it's a little bit colder, and I jam it in, travel somewhere on like a bus for 8 hours. You get there, and if you don't pull it out immediately, like, yeah, you're also gonna regret that. So highly recommend bringing a microfiber towel. Last on the list is a power bank. So as I said, I travel with a lot of stuff, a lot of electronics. So I use a power bank almost, yeah, if not every day, every second day, like quite frequently, especially if I'm taking a lot of videos on my phone for Instagram or for personal use or whatever. And like if you're filming in 4K 60 FPS on your phone, it just zaps up battery quite quickly. So yeah, having a power bank to charge electronics when you're on buses or in airports or, you know, planes, trains, just out and about, quite nice to have. And that's my top 5 things that I think are essential, but I would like to just include one little thing. I also very much enjoy bringing things for entertainment purposes. So for example, I like to scuba dive, so I carry around a mask and a snorkel with me, as well as a dive computer. Those usually don't take up too much spaces, and if you're going to be in places that you can snorkel around, like, I'd highly recommend just buying a mask, because if you're going to constantly keep renting them, it's going to pay for itself basically, and it doesn't take up too much space. So if you can fit it, I love having the freedom of just going around and like doing a little bit snorkeling, but on top of that, it is a proper rated diving mask, so I bring it for scuba diving adventures as well, which is quite nice. And I also bring a speaker, just so if you're hanging out with people, or, you know, maybe you're in a room alone, you can just blast some music, or if you're on the beach, that's actually quite nice, just having a couple people chill on the beach and you play some music. And the last thing I have for entertainment is these fire poise is what they're called. They're basically a chain that has a ball, like a cotton ball, and you dip them in kerosene, and then you light them on fire and you can spin around. It's very popular in Thailand, and it's yeah, it's kind of stupid, but yeah, I got to try one in Koh Tao at one of the bars. These locals were doing a show, and after the show, I started talking to them, and they asked if I wanted to try. So obviously I started spinning it around, and I nailed my arm, burnt all the hair off of it. But after that, I kind of got intrigued. So in Australia, I had a lot of free time, and I bought some fire poise and started practicing. So I take these things with me just because it just gives, I have the space to do it, first of all. So I can bring a little bit more than the average, you know, the average bag. But I enjoy having these things. I'm traveling for a long time. Like, personally, I don't want just the essentials. Like, I want to also like live my life and like have my hobbies and do what I love. So at least I can bring a couple more things that allow me to do that.
You've also traveled with a slightly slower pace than I did, right? I was bouncing around all the time, so then obviously you have more time to enjoy your things, and I did, to be fair, move between different climates. But I think one takeaway is our assumptions, of course, especially on being minimalistic, is that you're not gonna go as far as you know, the Himalayas on one side and then the Sahara Desert on the other. So if you're gonna be in the middle ground, which is, you know, based on the usual locations where you go as a backpacker, it's likely gonna be basically temperate or like medium temperature. You'll be fine. And I actually thought of maybe very quickly running through the things that I still remember, and I'll probably remember till I die, the things I carry with me in my backpack. So I hope you're ready for it. It's 7 t-shirts, 7 pairs of socks, 7 pairs of underwear, 2 long pants, 2 short pants, 1 towel, 1 pair of flip-flops, 1 pair of shoes, and then sunglasses, laptop actually, then the charging port for both the iPhone and then the laptop, toiletries, copies of my passport, as well as pictures for any documents I might need, the vaccine certificates, and then anything else I'm thinking? Well, the stash of US dollars, as I said, and 1 sweater, no hoodie, because the hoodie stuff takes up more space, so couldn't afford that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So just give you a sense, and of course consider that I would carry 1 pair of whatever on me at all times. So the rest is in the bag, and and one pair is with me. And actually, this pair, I hope you can kind of see, this pair of shorts is actually what I use while traveling, because being minimalistic means also becoming smart about these things. So this one allowed me to use normal pants, normal looking pants, also for running purposes if I wanted to go for a run, but also they are also swimsuits, so I could do three things into one. With that said, I hope you found this video useful. As always, we'll publish this and then more to come in the future, so subscribe to the channel, leave us some comments below, and see you again soon. Ciao ciao!
See you later.